when we are jarring up the tobacco tins that we've opened, or loose tobacco that we've purchased, you're going to want to be sure that you have the right size to accommodate the amount that you have. A general rule of thumb is that the quantity of tobacco will be 1/4 of the ounce size of the jar. So this is a 4-ounce jar. It's going to fit 1 ounce of tobacco. This is an 8-ounce jar. It'll fit 2 ounces of tobacco. This is a 12-ounce jar, so it will fit 3 ounces of tobacco. This is a 32-ounce jar. It'll fit a pound of tobacco if it is really pressed in there. This is a 64-ounce jar, and this is a little less than a pound of tobacco in here. So you can kind of see how much headroom a pound would have if you're going to use a 64-ounce jar. So be sure you have the size of jars that you need. If you are long-term cellaring, consider using smaller jars so that you're opening smaller quantities over time. Because if you put a lot of tobacco in a big jar like this, and then you open it after 5, 10, 15 years of cellaring, you're exposing all of this to a new set of oxygen, and that will speed up the aging process for whatever you have left in the jar. And that may not be desirable depending on how long you want to continue cellaring what you have left over. So consider breaking up large amounts into these smaller jars, into amounts that you could open and consume within about 1 month's time, is something to keep in mind for long-term cellaring. Now, this is a pound of pipes and cigars, the best of the rest. This is the aromatic. This is not anything fancy. This is not something that I would be upset about, deteriorating over time. It's not something that I'm cellaring on purpose. It's just you buy it by the pound. It's super affordable, and it's a great smoke when you just don't want to think about anything fancy, or you want a mindless smoke while you're doing other things you need to actually focus on. So keep that in mind. This is a jar sealer. It is a vacuum sealer. And this is super helpful, again, if you're not going to be opening the jars for a long time. Ball jars have the best rubber seals on them, and you want to be sure that those seals stay intact. This silicone rubber, whatever it is what makes ball jars preferable over a lot of the cheap knockoffs that you can purchase. Just spend the little extra money. If you're planning on cellaring for a long time, it'll be worth the investment. The vacuum sealer will make the seal tight. It's not going to remove the oxygen from the jar, is my understanding. It just creates a super airtight seal. And maybe I'm wrong, but it's going to create a suction that keeps that seal super, super tight. This model will accommodate the wide mouth jars and the regular size jars. So if you're considering something like that, be sure you're looking for something that can accommodate both. Sometimes they have an adapter. This one just has 2 levels to it. So on something like this, it's going to set inside of it deeper, whereas something like this sets inside of it more shallow, because that's how it was designed to fit. Before the end of this video, I'll show you how I use this on my jars. A few other things you're going to want during the jarring process is something to label the jar with. I just use masking tape and a Sharpie. You can see that's generally what I do here. Sometimes I'll also put it on the top of the jar, but I've kind of gotten lazy as time has gone on, and I am considering printing nicer labels for the top of the jar. After seeing so many people do it, it always looks so nice, and I always tell myself, man, that'd be great to have. But, time, money, investment, priorities, all of it has made it lower on my list. But it is something I'm considering doing. So I do now leave the jar tops unlabeled so that someday I can consider doing that. Another thing I do when I buy my jars, I keep the entire flat because they often have these dividers in them and it's very sturdy. You'll keep your tobacco organized. And if you're going to do something like this, this is a particular setup where adding the labels on top of the jars would be nice, because if you have labels on the side only, you're not going to see what is in the jar unless you actually lift it out of the grid. So something else to consider. I also keep handy a canning funnel. These are wonderful, even if you're not just canning. If you're setting up samples to share with someone, a funnel like this makes it so easy to transfer the tobacco into those little sample bags and keeps the mess minimal. You're not losing tobacco unnecessarily on the floor. You may want to consider a digital scale. I bought this one because it goes to, tenths of a gram, and it has a nice maximum 600 gram capacity. I generally don't need it for that much. I have kitchen scales that can do that. But again, when I'm creating samples or I just want to weigh how much is left in a jar, I can quickly use a scale like that to measure that out. One last comment before we actually get to the jarring. When you are jarring and you're going to do the vacuum seal, you want to be sure that your seal is clean. I don't know if you can see this. Let's see how well we can see that. Do you see the tobacco dust on the orange ring there? That is something that you want to be sure you're avoiding when you're doing the vacuum sealing, or in general, really. This dust compromises the seal. And if you don't have an airtight seal, you're going to be losing moisture over time, and then you're defeating the purpose of your long-term storage setup, or just your storage setup in general. The reason we use these rubber gasket glass jars is to lock in moisture over time, right? So a lot of people will open up a jar of tobacco and they'll use this as a tray. Don't do that. You'll get stuff all over the rubber gasket, and now you've compromised the seal on your jar. Word to the wise. I'm going to start off by canning up the rest of my Palmetto Balkan. Now, this was an 8-ounce tin. So if this was a fresh tin and I wanted to jar it, I would grab a 32-ounce jar, which would be 8 times 4, 32, and it would fit in this jar perfectly. Now, I have either smoked or given away about half of this tin, so I don't need a 32-ounce jar for this. I need the 12-ounce jar for this. So this would fit about 3 ounces or more. So this is probably going to be a little tight, but I'd rather a little tight and then pull in a small 1-ounce jar, because I could smoke through this and store the rest of this for longer term. And again, minimizing the oxidation effect over longer terms by not opening that jar and just keeping small amounts in these smaller jars is great. So I'm just going to open this up. There we go. You can see how tightly packed this was in there. It's not moving anywhere. Now remember, you are storing this long term, so any utensil you're going to use during this process should be clean. You do not want to transfer anything in here that would create bacteria and mold over time. So I'm just grabbing a clean knife out of my kitchen drawer. And we'll use this to scoop this out, break it up a little bit. Now again, I may need to pack this in here super, super tight. You're going to want to have something to assist you with that packing process. I'll show you what I'll use here in just a moment. Initially, I'm just going to press it down with whatever implement I'm using to scoop with. But there may be a point where you need to apply a lot more pressure. So I figured that this was about 4 ounces in here, and this fitting about 3 ounces was pretty accurate. So I am probably going to need a 1 ounce jar to finish this, but let me show you what I'm going to press this down with. So I'm going to press this down with a mallet. You can see that the size of the mallet fits the jar, but I'm going to put a piece of plastic between the tobacco and the mallet just for sanitary purposes. And it looks like I can fit a bit more in there. So let's do that. Maybe I won't need the small jar. Bring the funnel out slowly. And voila, actually that fit perfectly. So I'm just going to press this down again with the mallet and the plastic, and that was a perfect fit. I am grateful for that. Jars aren't super cheap, but they are an excellent investment. Just keep that in mind. All right, so I'm just gonna put that lid on. Remember, clean lid, clean gasket. And then we go ahead and grab some masking tape. I like to put 2 layers so I have plenty of room to write. All right, there we go. 1 down, many more to go. I won't make you watch all that, but I'll be back and show you what the end result was. Okay, we are done jarring up all of the tins and bags of tobacco that I've had open for a while. Obviously, I have neglected this for quite some time, so it feels good to get this done. I wanted to show you how to use the jar sealer. So you can see there's 2 levels here. So the wide mouth jars will fit the first level, the smaller mouth jars will fit the second level. And so there's no additional attachments or anything needed for this model. Got this off Amazon. Price is very decent. Buy one that works for your budget. Okay, let's vacuum seal some jars. So this vacuum sealer has 2 levels. It'll fit a regular size jar and a wide mouth jar. So you don't need any additional components that you're going to switch out with this. This sealer works great. There's a lot of different models out there. I'm not going to recommend this over any other, but find one that works for your budget and maybe look for other recommendations from others that have used it. So You want to take the ring off. This needs to vacuum seal this edge here, the lid. It shouldn't click when it's done. So if you're getting that clickiness still, you know that the vacuum seal is not successful. So when you're putting this in, it creates quite a bit of suction. So you got to be sure that you're getting it in there and you're putting some pretty good pressure on it in order to maintain that seal. And then you just hit start. Okay, so when you pull it out, number one, if it didn't work, the lid will just come right off. But number two, it should be concave. It should not pop. And then you put your ring on it. And that holds the seal tightly so that it won't possibly pop due to air pressure changes during storms or temperature changes. Since this is the same size, I'll skip that one, but let's do a wide mouth example here. So you can see how that just pops right off. It was not vacuum sealed. That just goes right on. The smaller ones are a little harder to get on there because of the pressure between the seal and the edge of the jar, but these go on quite easily on the wide mouth because there's more space above it for the air to move through. There we go. So again, pull that off. The lid should stay on by itself. It should be concave. And those are vacuum sealed and ready for long-term storage. I'm going to go ahead and do this for all of the other jars, and then we'll be done. Welcome back. I hope you found that interesting. A few things I think I failed to mention that are worth bringing up. Before you put the lid on, make sure you wipe the rim. You don't want any dust on the rim. You don't want any tobacco remnants that could stick to the lining. Again, you want to create an airtight seal, and if there's anything impeding that, it's not going to work, especially for the long run. It'll be fine for a little while, but not for years on end. Also, put dates on the label. I like to put the date of the tin. If there is a tin date, I put the tin date on it. If it was something I bought in bulk, I put the date that I bought it because I don't know when it was born, so to speak. Whereas tin dates indicate when it was tinned. So those are just some things I do. I hope you found that helpful and informational, and good luck with your tobacco storing. Remember, life with a pipe is better than without. Bye for now.